Imagine a job where one moment you're meticulously analyzing data, maybe sitting for hours, right?
Yeah,
And the very next, you're in a full-blown sprint, vaulting over obstacles, or maybe even engaged in a physical confrontation with a suspect.
it's quite the switch.
That's the reality for federal law enforcement agents and uniformed officers, from FBI agents pursuing leads to federal police officers securing vital facilities.
Absolutely.
These aren't just mentally demanding roles. They are intensely, unpredictably, physically demanding. And the stakes are incredibly high. So for you, our listener, what happens when these dedicated individuals putting their bodies on the line every single day sustain an injury while on duty?
That's a really critical question. It gets right to the core of public safety, doesn't it? These roles are absolutely essential, but as you might imagine, they carry a significant risk of orthopedic injuries.
You mean injuries affecting muscles, joints, bones?
Exactly. Muscles, joints, bones, and connective tissues. And today, we're taking a deep dive that's, well, custom tailored for you, focusing specifically on what happens when federal agents and officers in your area, the Kansas City and St. Louis metro areas, face these kinds of on-the-job injuries.
Okay, so what's our game plan for this deep dive? What are we covering?
Well, we want to pull back the curtain on the most common injuries these officers face,
Okay.
explore the crucial support systems that are actually in place for them,
Right, the backup.
and then, perhaps most importantly, walk you through the practical steps federal personnel need to take to get the care and compensation they truly deserve.
And we've got solid info for this.
Yeah, we've pulled insights from quite a stack of sources,
Yeah.
everything from detailed law enforcement health reports to some pretty complex legal guidance, and even information from specialized clinics.
All right, sounds comprehensive, ready to plunge into the
Let's
details.
do it.
Let's not waste any time then. Let's get right to the core of it. The specific types of orthopedic injuries federal law enforcement agents and uniformed officers frequently encounter.
Right.
When we talk about orthopedic injuries, we're talking about those essential parts that keep them moving and performing their duties. Muscles, joints, bones, all that connective tissue.
Exactly. And, health reports consistently show a clear pattern here, and it's quite revealing. Among the most common are, well, sprains and strains.
Okay, like from a chase.
Precisely.
All right.
Often occurring in those high-intensity moments like a foot pursuit, making an arrest, or even just a rigorous training drill. A twisted ankle or a strained shoulder is almost a rite of passage for some, unfortunately.
Ouch. What else?
Then there's back pain and disc injuries. These are shockingly prevalent, and it isn't always from some dramatic incident.
Right, not always a big fall or fight.
No, it can result from lifting heavy equipment, sure, but also sudden exertion or, surprisingly, long hours of just driving or doing surveillance. That leads to muscular imbalances and chronic issues over time.
Makes sense. What about legs? Knees?
Oh, yeah. Knee injuries are also very common. They stem from the explosive movements required, sprinting, jumping, quickly changing direction, or even climbing countless stairs or leaving obstacles.
So tears and sprains there too.
We see everything from meniscus tears to ligament sprains, definitely. And shoulders are incredibly vulnerable, too.
How so?
Well, shoulder and rotator cuff injuries can occur during defensive tactics training, repetitive firearms training, or simply from the constant strain of wearing a heavy ballistic vest day in, day out.
That vest weight adds up, I
It
imagine.
really does.
Yeah.
Rotator cuff strains, even dislocations. And finally, you've got ankle and foot injuries. These are frequent due to the sheer amount of swift, unpredictable movement required.
Like rolling an ankle.
Rolled ankles, Achilles tendon issues, even things like plantar fasciitis from just being on their feet for long hours. It's telling that studies from FBI Academy training showed ankle injuries were among the most frequent issues needing medical follow-up for new agents.
What really fascinates me here is if these are highly trained, physically capable individuals, what specifically about the nature of their work makes these injuries so pervasive? It sounds like a relentless cycle of physical stress.
It really is.
I remember hearing a story once about an agent who developed chronic back issues, not from a fight, but from years of just sitting in a car doing surveillance. It truly makes you rethink what dangerous means in this line of work, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. What these injury patterns reveal is the inherent paradox of federal law enforcement. You've got jobs that demand extreme, sudden bursts of physical output,
Yeah, intense moment.
often interspersed with long periods of sedentary work. And that combination creates a unique vulnerability to both acute trauma and that chronic wear and tear.
So sitting for hours, then suddenly sprinting.
Exactly. You might sit for hours tightening up your hip and back muscles, then immediately be called to run or lift heavy gear with little to no warm-up. Couple that with the heavy-duty gear they wear daily. Think a 20-pound duty belt or those ballistic vests.
That's a lot of constant weight.
It significantly elevates the risk for acute injuries and leads to that cumulative wear and tear over a whole career.
And this pattern holds true for federal agents and officers right in your backyard in the Kansas City and St. Louis metro areas.
Without a doubt, you can picture it, right? An FBI agent in St. Louis may be tackling a fugitive.
Sure.
Or an Office of Inspector General investigator in Kansas City carrying, I don't know, heavy case files along with their weapon and vest.
Yeah, that's physical work too.
And then think about a Federal Protective Service officer guarding a courthouse. Long, static shifts, but then suddenly needing to respond to an incident.
Right, instant reaction needed.
The strain on their knees, backs, shoulders, ankles, it's immense. Plus, these individuals often work long, unpredictable hours and have to meet rigorous physical fitness standards. All these factors contribute to both those immediate, acute traumas and the nagging cumulative injuries that can severely limit their ability to perform their essential duties.
That's a sobering picture of the physical toll. But thankfully, federal law enforcement personnel aren't left to navigate these challenges completely alone, are they? What's the crucial network of support that steps in when an injury occurs?
No, they're not alone, and these support organizations are absolutely essential. It's interesting, the sheer diversity and specific focus of these groups, from agency-specific associations to broad federal unions, it underscores a critical truth.
Which is?
That supporting injured federal officers isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires persistent, multifaceted advocacy that's as complex as the federal bureaucracy itself.
Okay, so who are some of these key players?
Well, for FBI agents specifically, there's the FBI Agents Association, or FBIAA. Founded back in 1981, it's a powerful non-governmental professional association. It really champions FBI agents' interests.
So they lobby for benefits.
Exactly. They lobby for Federal Employees Compensation Act, that's FECA benefits, and push for resources for injured agents.
Got it. What about officers from other agencies?
Then you have the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, AOA. That's a major nonprofit, founded in 1977. AOA represents all federal agents and officers across various agencies.
A broader scope, then.
Much broader. Its core mission includes providing legal counsel and support and advocating for beneficial legislation like better overtime pay or death benefits. It's actually notable that in its early days, about half of Federal MOSI's membership were FBI agents.
Interesting. So that shows a broad need for unified advocacy.
Precisely. Then there's the American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE. This is a massive labor union.
Representing lots of federal workers.
Over 700,000, including many federal law enforcement officers and police, like those with the Veterans Affairs Police or the Federal Protective Service. AFGE provides collective bargaining and, importantly, extensive training on workers' compensation rights.
They help officers understand the system.
Definitely. They've even developed a workers' compensation handbook and really emphasized timely injury reporting. And finally, don't forget the Fraternal Order of Police, FOP. They also have federal lodges that specifically lobby for law enforcement safety and benefits, extending their reach to federal officers, too.
So, taken together, these groups, FBIAA, IFLEOA, AFGE, FOP, they form a pretty significant safety net, right? Pushing for better gear, training, fair compensation.
Exactly. And providing guidance, even legal assistance, to injured officers who have to navigate that complex Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, or OWCP, process. They have a real presence and offer support for federal personnel right there in Kansas City and St. Louis.
That's an impressive safety net. But, when an injury does occur, knowing who's got your back is only half the battle. The other half is navigating the system itself.
Yeah.
So, even with these powerful advocacy groups, how does an injured federal officer in Missouri actually begin to navigate the crucial process of filing a claim under the Federal Employees Compensation Act, FECA? This act, just to remind you, is administered by the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, OWCP.
Right, and this is where it can indeed get a bit nuanced. It's really critical for you, the listener, to understand the two primary forms involved. First, there's Form CA-1, that's the Federal Employees Notice of Traumatic Injury.
Traumatic, meaning a specific incident.
Exactly. This is used for injuries that result from a single specific event during one work shift. Think slipping and falling during a raid or twisting a knee during a foot pursuit, something definite happened.
Okay. And what's key about the CA-1?
The absolute most important thing here is filing it within 30 days. 30 days.
Why the deadline?
Because that preserves your right to up to 45 days of continuation of pay or COP.
Continuation of pay.
Yeah.
So they keep getting paid their regular salary.
Effectively, yes. Your full salary continues for up to 45 days, providing that crucial financial lifeline while you're recovering from a traumatic injury. It's designed so you can focus on healing, not worrying about immediate financial strain. But you need the CA-1 filed on time.
And it needs details, medical proof.
Yes, detailed descriptions and medical evidence are required.
Okay, so that's CA-1 for traumatic injury. What's the other form?
The other one is Form CA-2, the Notice of Occupational Disease or Illness. This form is for conditions that develop over a period longer than one workday.
Ah, so like wear and tear injuries.
Exactly. Typically due to repetitive stress or long-term exposure. Examples include that chronic back pain from years of wearing a heavy-duty belt, maybe carpal tunnel syndrome from repetitive computer work, or even hearing loss from noise exposure over time.
Yeah.
It's a cumulative impact.
And does the CA-2 come with continuation of pay?
No, that's a key difference. CA-2 claims do not include continuation of pay. However, they still cover medical bills and wage loss once the claim is accepted.
So still very important, just no COP. What do these claims need?
They need a very detailed history of your exposure or the repetitive nature of your duties, and crucially, a doctor's clear, unequivocal opinion linking the condition directly to those work duties. That connection has to be explicit.
Got it. So how does an officer actually file these? Is it all paper?
Actually, the federal government has streamlined much of this process using the electronic e-com system. You can find it online at ecomp.ca.gov.
Ecomp, okay. What are the steps?
Well, first, you need to report the injury immediately to your supervisor, always. For a traumatic injury, this prompt reporting is crucial because it can often lead to your supervisor issuing a Form CA-16.
What's a CA-16?
That authorizes initial medical examination and treatment so you can get seen right away.
Okay, report immediately then.
Next, you'll initiate the claim in eComp itself. You create an account, select either the CA-1 or CA-2 form, and input all your details electronically.
Straightforward enough. What about the medical reports?
That's the next step. Upload supporting documents. This is vital. You need clear medical reports, doctors' narratives that explicitly link your injury to your work duties. That causation statement is key. Witness statements can also be incredibly helpful.
Okay, upload everything. Then what happens?
Once you've submitted your part, your supervisor then reviews it and, by regulation, must submit the claim to OWCP within 10 working days. They have a deadline too.
Good to know. And after it's submitted, just wait.
Well, you need to actively follow up. OWCP evaluates the claims, and they might request more information. It's unfortunately quite common for initial denials to occur.
Really?
Why? Often due to what they call insufficient medical evidence. Maybe the doctor's report wasn't clear enough on the work connection. But remember, appeal rights are available.
So a denial isn't the end of the road?
Not at all. And support from a union or a specialized clinic, like we'll discuss later, can make all the difference in navigating that appeal.
That's good to know. And if the claim is accepted, what are the benefits?
If your claim is accepted, the benefits are significant. All related medical treatment is covered, and importantly, you generally have the choice of your treating physician.
Choice of doctor, that's good.
Yes. You're also entitled to tax-free wage loss compensation if you can't work, and potentially long-term disability or even vocational rehabilitation if you can't return to your old job.
So a key tip for our listeners facing this.
Absolutely, for you specifically. Seek guidance. Use resources like AFGE's detailed handbook. Talk to your agency's injury compensation specialists or consult with experts who know the system. Navigating this complex process effectively ensures you receive all the benefit you're entitled to. Don't try to go it alone if you don't have to.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's take a slight pivot into history for a moment, because understanding the origins of these agencies helps us grasp why their roles inherently lead to such high physical demands, and in turn, why these robust support systems are so crucial today.
That's a great point.
It's not accidental, right? It seems like it's by design and historical necessity.
Indeed. Take the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. It was born way back in 1908 to tackle interstate crime. But a pivotal moment, especially relevant for Missouri, was the infamous Kansas City Massacre in 1933.
Ah, yes, I've heard of that. Tragic event.
Incredibly tragic. Unarmed FBI agents were among those killed trying to apprehend a fugitive at Union Station. This public outrage led directly to congressional reforms in 1934.
What did the reforms do?
They finally empowered agents to carry firearms and make arrests nationwide. Before that, they often had very limited authority.
So that legislative shift immediately amplified the physical dangers they faced.
Absolutely. Suddenly they were directly confronting dangerous criminals. And the FBI has had long-standing active divisions in both Kansas City and St. Louis, dealing with everything from organized crime back in the Prohibition era to modern-day terrorism and cybercrime, all of which continue to demand agents ready for intense physical confrontations.
Okay, so that explains the FBI's evolution. What about other agencies, like the OIG?
Right. Office of Inspector General, OIG, investigators. These are the independent internal watchdogs. They were largely created by the Inspector General Act of 1978.
Was that related to Watergate?
Very much a post-Watergate initiative, yes, aimed at transparency and accountability within government. Their mission is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse within federal agencies.
Are OIG agents actual law enforcement?
Oh, yes. OIG special agents are federal law enforcement officers with arrest and firearm authority, operating within specific departmental jurisdictions. They often possess dual expertise in investigation and their agency-specific programs, like Medicare fraud or defense contract issues.
And they're present in KC and St. Louis?
Definitely. With the concentration of federal offices in both cities, OIG agents are certainly present. And their investigations, while often analytical, can absolutely lead them into dangerous, unpredictable arrest scenarios, just like any other federal agent.
Okay. And the third group you mentioned earlier, federal police.
Right, federal police officers. This is a broader category of uniformed personnel. Think of the Federal Protective Service, FPS, who guard federal buildings, or the VA police securing hospitals and clinics.
Do they have a long history, too?
FPS, for example, traces its origins way back to watchmen hired in 1790 to guard government construction in D.C., but it became much more formalized later. However, major events like the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 dramatically changed their role.
How so?
That tragedy led to significantly increased security mandates for federal buildings and really reinforced their roles as key first responders in protecting federal facilities and personnel. Both Kansas City and St. Louis housed numerous critical federal facilities, courthouses, large agency offices, VA medical centers, requiring a substantial presence of these uniformed officers who face daily physical risks, from dealing with disturbances to potential active threats.
So, if you connect the dots, the historical evolution of these agencies, the FBI's expanded powers after the Kansas City massacre, the OIG's vital role as government watchdogs, the FPS's reinforced security duties post-Oklahoma City, it really underscores why these jobs are inherently high risk.
Exactly.
These aren't just physically demanding jobs. They are jobs designed by historical necessity, in many ways, to put individuals in harm's way for the public's safety.
Well put.
This historical context really illuminates why the robust support networks and the specialized injury care we're discussing aren't just, nice-to-haves. They are absolutely essential for these officers to continue doing their critical work.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so given these inherently high-risk roles and the inevitable injuries that unfortunately come with them, it's vital for you, our listener, to know where to find truly specialized care if needed. Let's talk about Restore Muscle and Joint. You mentioned specialized clinics earlier. Tell us about this one. It seems like a crucial resource for injured federal employees in Missouri, particularly those in federal law enforcement.
Yes. Restore Muscle and Joint, located at 40119 N.W. Berry Road in Kansas City, MO, is exactly that kind of specialized resource. They focus specifically on musculoskeletal injuries, the very types we've been discussing.
And crucially, they know the federal system.
Yes, and this is key. They are highly experienced in navigating the federal OWCP process. They have an integrated team approach.
Meaning
Chiropractic physicians, physical therapists, and medical doctors all working together under one roof. This allows for truly comprehensive treatment plans tailored to the individual. They've been doing this since 2009, so they have over 50 years of combined experience on staff.
And what areas do they really focus on?
Their expertise aligns perfectly with common law enforcement issues. Things like neuropathy, disc and low back injuries, and chronic knee pain. While they primarily focus on non-surgical approaches, they've recently added an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Chris McManey, D.O., for surgical consultations when needed. So they offer a full spectrum of care options.
That sounds comprehensive medically, but what about the OWCP side? That seemed like a major hurdle earlier.
This is what truly sets them apart and why they're such a vital resource for you if you're a federal employee. They have recently opened a dedicated OWCP Federal Injury Center.
A dedicated center just for federal workers' comp.
Exactly. The true innovation here isn't just about the integrated medical care. It's about systematically debureaucratizing the recovery process. They recognize that navigating the OWCP claims process can be almost as debilitating as the injury itself sometimes.
So they take that burden off the officer.
Precisely. By handling that administrative headache, they let officers truly focus on healing. They have DOL-credentialed physicians and staff who are extremely familiar with all the OWCP claims and forms.
Not just the CA-1 and CA-2.
No, not just those. They know the CA-7s for wage loss, the CA-17 duty status forms that say what work you can or can't do. They understand the common pitfalls, like claims being denied due to insufficient medical evidence.
And they work to prevent that.
Actively. They work to prevent this by ensuring thorough documentation and using crystal-clear causation language in their medical reports, explicitly linking the injury to work duties in the way OWCP requires. And if a claim is initially denied, they assist with the appeals process, which can reduce immense stress to the patient.
Okay, so what kind of specific assistance can an injured officer expect there?
Well, their key assistance includes, first, expert evaluation and diagnosis that meets those rigorous OWCP standards. Second, comprehensive treatment plans could be chiropractic, physical therapy, maybe advanced treatments like soft wave therapy, injections, or that surgical consultation if necessary.
And the paperwork.
Yes. Third, active hands-on support with all the OWCP paperwork and claim processes. They help fill out forms, ensure proper medical reporting, understand the timelines, and importantly, they directly bill OWCP.
So the officer doesn't have to pay up front and wait for reimbursement.
Correct. They handle the billing directly, removing that financial and administrative burden completely from the patient. Fourth, their experienced federal injury physicians tailor rehabilitation plans specifically to help officers regain the functional fitness needed for their unique roles, things like tactical strength and agility training.
Tailored rehab, that's important.
Very. And finally, they also emphasize convenience, flexible hours, state-of-the-art technology, and they're very willing to coordinate care for patients who might be traveling from the St. Louis area to their Kansas City location. Their whole commitment is to relieve that bureaucratic burden and ensure patients receive the compensation and benefits they're entitled to.
Allowing them to focus purely on healing and getting back to their jobs.
Exactly, getting them back to their critical duties.
So, in practical terms, let me ask this. For that Homeland Security officer in St. Louis who injures their shoulder in a training drill, or maybe a Federal Protective Service officer in Kansas City who hurts their backlifting barricades, what is the single biggest relief a specialized clinic like Restore Muscle and Joint offers them in their recovery journey?
I'd say the biggest relief for you in that situation is having someone who truly understands the OWCP system inside and out. Someone who takes that immense paperwork burden off your shoulders, deals with the adjusters, knows the forms,
Right.
and allows you to put all your focus and energy into simply getting well. It's about not having to fight the system while you're already fighting to recover physically.
That sounds invaluable. Okay, let's wrap things up. Today, we've taken quite a deep dive into the unique challenges faced by federal law enforcement officers when they get hurt on the job.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We've explored the prevalence and the distinct nature of orthopedic injuries in their high-stakes work. We highlighted the absolutely essential advocacy provided by unions and associations like FBIAA, FLEOA, and AFGE.
Those support networks are key.
Absolutely. And we clarified the intricate process of OWCP claims, really breaking down the difference between the CA-1 for traumatic incidents and the CA-2 for occupational diseases, and that crucial COP factor.
Understanding those forms is vital.
And crucially, we've looked at the specialized, comprehensive care available from clinics like Restore Muscle and Joint right here in Missouri, which are designed specifically to help officers navigate that complex federal system and get the treatment they need.
Combining the medical expertise with the administrative know-how.
Exactly. So as we finish, perhaps a final thought for our listeners to mull over.
Yeah, I think as you consider all this, maybe reflect on how the well-being and the effective recovery of these federal agents and officers directly impacts the safety and security of the public they serve of you.
That's a powerful connection.
It is. The next time you encounter a federal officer, maybe remember the vital importance of robust support systems for those who literally put themselves on the line, physically, every single day for us. And consider the systemic challenges, like navigating OWCP, that they often have to overcome just to do their demanding jobs and get back to protect